Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of The Doctor Is In, your prescription to business transformation. I am Dr. Georgette Fraser Moore, President and CEO of Transformation Lead, an Atlanta-based technology consulting firm, and a member of CompTIA's board of directors. In this series, our goal is to talk to tech companies and CompTIA members directly about exactly how they're leveraging emerging technologies to adapt and transform their businesses, how they're creating innovative new solutions, services, and strategies to foster long-term success. We want to give you tangible, practical, and wonderful tips that you can implement directly into your businesses. Be sure to subscribe to this channel to be notified each time a new episode hits YouTube. Today, we'll be talking to Ciaran Kenny, Director of Macnamara ICT. Hey, Ciaran, how are you?
Hi, Georgette. Lovely to meet you. I'm very well, thanks. And you?
Definitely a pleasure to meet you. Ciaran, can you tell us a little bit about your company, who you are, and what you do?
Sure. We've been around since 2003. We're based in London in the UK. We're a team of 6 technical people, and we work with clients with between about 5 and 150 users, providing both MSP services and security services.
That's great. So based in the UK, you are a traditional managed services provider, but the development of Cyber Essentials, a government-based information assurance initiative, led you to look to transform your business. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so that was back in 2016 that Cyber Essentials was developed. And we, as I said, we're working as a traditional MSP at that point, though we were increasingly conscious of the fact that we weren't covering security as a specific issue. So we were providing IT services like all MSPs. And as is often the case in that relationship, our clients were thinking probably they're covering security. It's probably okay, and we were conscious of the fact that we weren't. So, like a lot of people in that type of relationship, there's a kind of a conspiracy of silence going on where neither of us are mentioning it.
Now that conspiracy of silence can definitely be a little bit challenging and creepy to maneuver around, right? But can you take us through that thought process of knowing that you needed to change the company and then designing and implementing that change?
Yeah. So I think as everybody is pretty aware of the extent to which cybersecurity has become more and more challenging. I think it's fair to say, especially over the last 5 or 6 years. So we and I believe cybersecurity is integral to IT. They're not separate things, so they are separate areas of expertise. Now we knew we were delivering the IT service and that we weren't delivering the security service, and so the issue was to face up to that and break out of the conspiracy of silence.
Wow.
And admit that we weren't providing the security service, but obviously we couldn't just say, oh, we're just not doing it. We had to consider, well, do we pass this on to another company to deal with?
Right.
Or do we figure out a way we can do it ourselves? And obviously, nobody likes to just pass business on to another company with the risk to the client. So we considered that this is something we would do ourselves, but in order to do it, we would need to invest seriously in training and certification so that if we made the security claim in terms of our service, that it was fully backed up in terms of our ability to do it and the fact that we're certified to do it. So, so that the challenge was just to face up to that and figure out how to get the training done. So for the first time in our development as a company, we recognized that we would have to budget for training, and we would have to figure out the training requirement over a year or more than a year.
Okay.
And so we made a substantial investment for a company of our size over the first couple of years in the region of £100,000, which is a big spend for a company of our size. As I mentioned at the start, we're 6 people with an appropriate level of turnover for 6 people.
Wow. So how important was that training for you? You mentioned having to make an investment of a grand investment for a smaller company, right?
Yeah.
And you had to ramp up your security skills, the resources, and update your offerings. How
Yeah.
important was this for you, your organization, and your customers?
So it was critical. It was transformational for us. The First of all, we couldn't have added security into our offering without the training. That was essential.
Mm-hmm.
Once security became part of our offering, and later almost leads our offering, but as it became part of our offering, the conversation with clients changed. So the conspiracy of silence had to be broken. We had to directly address the fact that clients assumed we were providing security but preferred not to ask,
Right.
in case we said no, we're not. So and actually say to them, look, we are your technology service provider, but to date we haven't been your security service provider,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to be. We're qualified to be, and we would like you to pay us to be your security service provider, but it's going to cost you more.
Oh,
And
wow.
and so as you can expect, for a very small number of clients, that was an unwelcome message. But for the great majority, I believe they were relieved to have this out in the open. Because if you're trying to make sure you sleep at night by not mentioning something,
Right.
it tends to catch up with you. So
And
I think
it seems like you guys were a little bit ahead of the curve, right? Because right now, more than ever, cybersecurity is on the rise. Cybersecurity threats, hackers are out there, especially now that people are working from home. They're more in cloud-based environments. They're working from unsecured networks. They're tapping into VPNs and things differently than they did in
yeah,
previous times. And you guys started this initiative several years ago.
yeah.
What challenges did you face along the way?
So, well, I mentioned one already, which was financing it
Yeah.
as a small company, but the other, of course, being that conversation with clients. But the probably the biggest challenge was internal, ourselves, like facing up to to what we lacked, to what we
Hmm.
weren't able to do, and getting that message across to the guys in a way that wasn't undermining, or it's just,
Yeah.
this is the fact, this is what we lack, this is what we have to fill in. And in order to, like any, I think this is common with technology companies, we consume our own product as
Hmm.
well. So we to be confident in offering security, we had to deploy all of the security tools and methods and policies and so on to ourselves.
Hmm.
That was challenging, in a way, challenging to get the guys to take it seriously at the start, because we're a small company, and suddenly we have a written policy on bring your own device and
Right.
on working from home and so on. and really strict about admin passwords and so on. But I'm a technician. I must have the admin password. So it was getting the guys to take this stuff seriously,
Right.
and start to behave like a bigger company that has those security needs, and then face what for us was a demanding challenge in being externally audited and certified against the standards.
Wow.
So that
So,
would.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to conclude by saying that was kind of big for us to make
That was huge. I was about to
yeah,
comment the same thing. Communication is key. So in digital transformations, one of the number one things that companies lack is true communications. That's both internal and external to those that are impacted and all of the stakeholders. Yeah. How important was communication with your customers during this process, and how did those conversations go?
So the customer communication was vital. That in a way, that's what led this. Once we broke the conspiracy of silence and started to talk to the customers, we found. So I was nervous about having that conversation. Of course, we're going to admit that we haven't been providing you with maybe things you think we have, and we're going to ask you for more money. So that was a nerve-wracking path to embark on. But what I found was that, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, people welcomed the conversation. Most people welcomed the conversation, but in fact, it became a much more grown-up conversation than we'd previously had with clients, where we only talked about technology. Once we're talking about security, we're talking about business processes.
Right.
And we're into a much more grown-up relationship with the client. So the conversations that I feared, and we all feared, became the motor of this whole process, the communication with the clients.
You mentioned that fear. That fear is real, right? The fear of change is real. And if it's not scaring you, usually it's not challenging you and it's not transforming you, whether it's an organization, a person, or anything else.
I agree.
You just gave some really key components about things that you've learned along the way. What was there anything else that you learned along the way, or were there any side benefits that you found as you were going through this transformational process?
Well, a major side benefit I mentioned about that we went through the audit process and the process of getting the guys to take this thing seriously, and that's really resulted in a much more cohesive team. So while it was a bit of a step up at first for the guys to behave like they're in a bigger organization than they had been, they, as far as I can see, value the fact that they're treated more seriously and their job is treated more seriously. And we're still a small company, but we now have many of the attributes in security terms of a much bigger company, and the guys behave accordingly, and it raises them as professionals and as a cohesive team. And then, of course, the other major benefit, which is not why we went into it, but the point I made about the more grown-up conversation allows us to have more grown-up conversations with more grown-up companies, bigger companies.
That's a lot of opportunity that probably opened up for your organization.
That's right. People we would have been, I started using the word fear, so I might as well continue. People we would have been afraid to approach a few years ago, we're a good deal more confident about it now.
Wow. Ciaran, is there anything that you would have done differently?
I think I would have approached this sooner than I did. I spent you spend a lot of time holding back the tide.
Right.
You see where things are going, but you hope that maybe we can continue just as we are. But I'm so glad we embarked on that transformation, and it's a bit trite to say, but I only wish we'd done it sooner.
Wow, wow, that's amazing. So, I mean, I know the answer to this one already, but from your perspective, Ciaran, how successful has this transformation been for your organization and your customers?
Well, we are taking on bigger clients than ever before, and I would say servicing them better than ever before. And for all our clients, big and small, the conspiracy of silence is gone. They don't just get reports from us about their technology, they get reports about their security, and we all know where things are security wise. So that the secret is out of the closet.
Yes.
And I think that's a benefit for us and for the clients. The
That is
clients are
definitely a
happier.
benefit. That's definitely a benefit for you and your customers. You're doing some
Yeah.
really great things in this space. Our company here at Transformation Lead does a lot with helping organizations from on the public and private sector do these type of digital transformations internally. And you are doing all of the right things. You started out with an idea, you communicated that idea, you said you found buy-in within your company. You had to have some difficult conversations with your technicians when they weren't ready. They weren't ready for this change because change is hard and it's not easy. And if it doesn't scare you, I think I said this earlier, if it doesn't scare you, it doesn't change you, and change is required to move forward and to grow. And you had to have those same conversations with your clients that may not have been easy, but now their systems are secure and they were ready for this change, and they were ready for COVID-19 to come because they knew now more than ever before that their systems were monitored and covered by Macnamara, and that you guys were doing the very best you can to keep them up to date as an MSP. And I think that is extraordinary in itself. What advice, Ciaran, do you have for CompTIA members that are watching and thinking of business transformation, but they're unsure of where to start? Where would you tell them to begin?
Based on our experience, it's about stepping out of the comfort zone. I guess probably first for the leaders of the organizations to consider and ask themselves why, the basic question, why do we do what we do, or why do we only do what we do? Is that there's some other stuff here, and what's stopping us?
Yes.
And I think we're not unique in discovering that often what's stopping you is fear.
Mm-hmm.
And possibly well-founded fear. We're not trained to do this. We can't do it. Okay, get trained. um, so it's stepping out of your comfort zone and facing up to what you lack as a business, and considering how can you plug that gap. You can't do it all at one go. Look 2 years or so ahead, and how am I going to have plugged that gap at the end of that time?
And you definitely did that. You definitely looked at that, and you prepared. You got your team ready, and you got your clients ready for things that they didn't know was coming. I, for one, am definitely going to be paying attention to Macnamara going forward. And I'm sure that our users and other CompTIA members will be plugged in, and you may see some extra people reaching out to connect, to find out from your experience what they can learn and be able to help do some of the things that you've done right. Part of business is always thinking ahead. And Ciaran, I want to ask you this question. So what is next for Macnamara?
Well, for us, as I mentioned,
Mhm.
we have been able to have those more grown-up conversations with more grown-up companies, but it's taken us a long time for our marketing to catch up with that. Where we started as me, and we had a few small clients, and then we got a bit bigger, and our clients got a bit bigger, and now we are hitting the clients we let's say we always dreamed about. um but we've had to now transform our marketing to
Yes.
to to reflect that we have, we're confident enough to go after these bigger businesses. So let's get the marketing up to speed with that. So that's kind of our focus now. And we're that's bearing fruit. We are onboarding bigger and better clients than ever
That's great,
before.
and that's going to lead to a lot more growth. Thank you so much, Ciaran. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today's episode, but I want to thank you so much for talking with us about how Macnamara ICT is leveraging emerging technologies to position themselves for new opportunities for long-term success. And I definitely, once we're able to travel again and not be virtual, and I'm back in the UK on a regular basis, I definitely would love to take you out to coffee and learn more about what you're doing and what your company is doing and where you've transformed to then. But thank you so much for coming and meeting with us today. And we look forward to seeing you going forward.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me on. And I do hope we can have that coffee. That would be great.
Definitely. If you'd like to read more about Macnamara ICT, you can find the link to their Business of Technology use case in the description below. And thank you, viewers, for tuning in today as well. Also, if you'd like to learn more about cybersecurity, join CompTIA's IT security community through the link in the description too. To catch more episodes of The Doctor Is In, please check out the Doctor Is In playlist on this YouTube channel, linked in the description. And be sure to hit subscribe. The subscribe button is right down there, and be notified when new episodes are available. On behalf of CompTIA, I am Dr. Georgette Fraser Moore. Have a great day.